There are not 5 of us writing this story. There are 10 of us writing our story. Each one of us has a +1, our Zettelkasten. So we were invited to invite our Zettelkastens to participate in the creation of our story. And not only will we present our story, but we will share how our Zettelkastens participated.
I did not find that my Zettelkasten, NadiaZ, coughed up a story for me quite so much, but the act of interacting with her did. So what my idea that I carried from last week's episode really was this notion of more than one person collaborating with each other and with their Zettelkastens. And I wanted it to be Jenna and her father, who up until now in reading things, nobody has met. So I created a scene for Jenna and her father. And I thought, well, it really makes sense that her father is going to help her figure out what she needs to know in order to do this effigy, this unnamed effigy. We don't know we haven't until now known what the effigy is. And, you know, pardon to all of my co-authors and also anybody who's following along, I seem to be telling the story in reverse. I may have gotten to my first scene.
I was going to say, there's actually a story writing method that writes from back to front. So you're spot on.
Yeah, well, it's how it happened. I started in Act 2. I'm working my way back.
Awesome.
So on Friday night, serendipitously, I was having a kind of a deep conversation with my local composition teacher. I meet with her every other week. We were meeting Friday evening, early evening, and we were talking a lot about time. And so there were two things that came up later for that. And one of them was, again, a holdover from a previous episode where we were talking about where I ran everybody through memory techniques. And Kathleen said, but why? And so Friday night, I just was inspired to write this. And it's going to apply to Jenna's father. This is his point of view. Also kind of is mine. When you memorize the index of your Zettelkasten, the taglines become part of your internal namespace. And so they become familiar to you, like the names of your dearest friends, most of whom, you must admit, spend more time in your life as thoughts and ideas than anything else. So just like ideas on cards with taglines for names, your namespace is your personal encoding of what you want to be with. And this is something Jenna's father gets, and she doesn't get at all when we first see the two of them interacting. And why might that be? So another idea that occurred to me, and it was kind of funny. I wrote this down on a main card that same evening, and there were all sorts of facts that were wrong about it. But I thought of what could be the effigy. And so it's hinted at, and I hope it's a kind of a hiding in plain sight hint in my story. So maybe I'll just read the story.
Yeah.
Okay. And, apologies, I'm just in love with all of this now. So this little story is called The Effigy Makes No Sense. Seated in his study, deep in rehearsal, Malcolm Whitman opens his eyes and meets those of his daughter standing in front of him. A flavor of regret rides the memory of her gentle thou tap, which was how long ago? Ever-patient Jenna probably thought nothing of the wait. Not for the first time, Malcolm wonders how she manages that. Sensing her disquiet, he opens into their channel. Pop, I'm sure you know this. I'm working on this effigy thing, and I literally don't even know how to begin to understand what it means. And for some unfathomable reason, Eleanor's not helping. She just natters nonsense. Malcolm exhales. As crises go. Was that a question? I heard no question. Ah, Papa. Not the game she wants to play, apparently. Seriously, Jenna, I'm gratified that you're giving the effigy a try, and I would dearly love to help you. But what's this I'm supposed to know? Rising, 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 ding! Our familiar flummox. They sing perfectly together, tension gone. Eleanor serves up the log automatically, but Jenna already knows. Yeah, one to you, Pop. Let me rephrase. She gathers herself and continues. There's so much I don't understand about the effigy. It's just 10 words. The meaning of each of them is easy enough, but together She locks eyes with Malcolm, still waiting for a question. I keep preambling. Thanks for bearing with me. A corner of Malcolm's vigilant heart warms at this sign of struggle. It might be auspicious. As she casts her eyes down and away, he hears her barely audible voice. Yo, enough of that. Choose one puzzle, doesn't matter which. A nod, and she's back with him and thou. Okay, Pop. Why 15? I mean, I guess I know what minutes are, but why in particular are there 15 of them?
That made me desperately want to know what the effigy is.
Does anybody have a guess?
No.
Well, okay. We'll just leave that as a slight mystery. I think that some people are going to guess. Remember, we all know that the effigy is for linguistic phrases that were once current and have gone completely out of use.
Kind of
So
like butt dial.
if you can think, yes, exactly, like butt dial. So if you can think of a linguistic phrase that involves 15 minutes.
15 minutes of fame.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
Exactly. So yeah, I don't want it to be like, oh, it's a big reveal, because it's a little reveal. But what this opened up for me is Jenna's experience with time is special. And it's because her experience with the link is special. Because if you had a link that did literally all your time management for you, what would your experience of time be?
Always just being in the present.
Yeah. Yeah. And so that kind of, I'm going to have to go back and rework some of Jenna's ways of speaking. She's always in the present. So in working on this, where does the Zettelkasten come in? So they're going to figure out how to work together on this little research question. He's not going to give her answers. He's going to give her ways to get the answers, right? So I created this profile diagram, and I kind of lived out what I was saying at the beginning about memory. So I didn't refer to Deb's wonderful sheet, which I'm sure we're going to be talking about. But I instead referred to my own memory of the character traits. And I thought, how can I put those, a whole profile of where Jenna is at the beginning of this story, onto one card? And I referenced also Kathleen's truly lovely, gentle introduction to the character traits that she just did. There's a 10, I think it's a 10 episode playlist. Fabulous. We'll put that in the description, a link to that particular playlist. It's great. Even if you've got, well, not even if you've got her book, it's great. If you don't have her book, it's great. It's a real gentle introduction to that way of thinking. But one of the things that she talks about is just the very simple way of drawing her diagram without having to draw the circle if circles are difficult for you. So I'll just do a quick flash. This is what I drew. It's full of spoilers. But yeah, so I've got all of the traits of Jenna at the beginning marked here. And one thing that I did, and this is, you just come up with a need for nomenclature at the time, right? So in my card, there are asterisks next to each thing that seems to be very stable, but is vulnerable. So those things might hop up into chaos. So can't wait to keep on going. This was just delightful.
Wow. Okay, thank you so much. And yes, I did transfer it to Deb's character profile worksheet. I love this. It's now available in a 50-sheet pad, very heavy duty paper. Wonderful. You can get it at lilypub.org and then click on the little store button. We have one LilyPub member product now. Thank you, Deb. It is on sale at lilypub.org.